The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Welcome to Behind the Law and happy holiday weekend to you and yours. Great show, a really special show for you today. Let me welcome my special guest, as always, my co-host, the beautiful Makaila Nichols. Makaila, how are you?
Fantastic.
So you're not a lawyer, I am. You are supposed to ask the questions for the people at home that I'm not going to think to ask, right?
Of course.
Before the show, she said just a moment ago that she might get a little aggressive today. I hope you do.
I mean,
Ask
I have
anything.
all the questions today. Why not?
Here's what we're going to do. Federal versus state criminal law. Number one, why are there no cameras in federal courthouses? I don't know the answer to that. We are about to know the answer to that question. And what are the sentencing guidelines? Is it better to get charged with a crime in state or federal court? Special guest Rajan Joshi is going to bring in his buddy. He's been doing it for a long time. Jancha will join us. Also, Brittany Walker is running for Seminole County Commissioner. Should you get involved in county government and local government? We will answer all of those questions. Here's what we're going to do. Quick break. When we return, Behind the Law continues. Having debt can leave you feeling helpless. I'm attorney Justin Clark. Filing for bankruptcy may give you the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property. From qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
You may have noticed earlier this week they came out with the sentencing for Jazlyn Maxwell. How do I say it?
I don't know.
It comes up on the radio show every day. I still don't know how to pronounce it. That Maxwell lady, the Epstein lady. They came out with her sentencing. She got 20 years. But this was a different kind of case. This was a federal criminal case. There's differences. Criminal versus state is just different. And you wonder why some of these trials I see, there's no video and you see the artist rendering of the defendant. Why is that? Who better to ask than our resident criminal defense guru, Rajan Joshi's here. Rajan, how are you, buddy?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Now, this guy here, I've heard about a million times, too. You got to introduce me to the powerful man next to you.
All right, this legend is Rick Jancha. Rick and I were former law partners at James Law for about 8 years. Rick has more experience as a federal criminal defense attorney than any attorney I know, going on close to 45 years. 22 years as a U.S. prosecutor. And as a U.S. prosecutor, he actually ran the Orlando office. He was the managing partner over there. And then they assigned him to oversee all the drug cases, all the narcotic cases in the federal middle district, which includes 35 counties.
That's even Tampa.
Yes, Tampa. Yes,
it's crazy.
Yes, it encompasses most of Florida. And Rick and I have worked many cases. We've represented politicians, doctors, CEOs of companies across the state and even different states. And we've always gotten, really, really excellent results. And so I had to bring him on the show. He's of counsel with my law firm. We work together. We've worked together for years since, I opened up my law firm. And today's my 7-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
7 years, my goodness. It flew by, though, huh?
It really did.
Yeah.
It really did. Time does fly.
Rick, welcome, buddy. We're honored to have you here. But let's go back to this Jazlyn Maxwell. Am I saying it right? Do you know either? I don't know. Whatever. So, in federal cases, what we always see is when there's media coverage, there's always a drawing of the defendant.
That's not fan art?
I don't think so. Could be. Why is that? Why do we not allow cameras in federal courts?
It's just a decision by the federal judiciary.
Really?
They made the decision that they don't want to turn federal cases into a media circus. Like you see in a lot of state cases, they don't want. If it's publicized, on the news or whatever, then there's a possibility of influencing jurors, that type of thing. So the federal court's very strict and keeps very, very tight control over their proceedings. And they made the decision
Not to
no
allow
cameras. They don't even allow cell phones in the federal court.
Yeah, they're little lockers
except for
outside.
attorneys.
Yeah.
But the average person can't even take a cell phone like they can in state court.
I often hear the saying or the phrase, the federal government would indict a ham sandwich. What does that mean? Is there any truth to that rumor?
No. The federal system is so much different than the state. In the state and in the federal system, an officer can arrest someone. But in the federal, and then the prosecutor in the state court decides on the charges. In the federal system, everybody's got to be indicted by a federal grand jury of any type of criminal offense. They can, if they agree, file what's called an information, where they agreed to plead guilty and they agreed that what they did, and they can do it that way. And then that has to be approved by a judge. But as a general rule, federal courts all got to be indicted by a grand jury. The reason they say that they can indict a ham sandwich is in the federal grand jury system, no defense attorneys are allowed. All that's presented is the prosecution side of the case, and all they have to do is establish probable cause to believe that someone committed the offense. Yeah.
And one advantage that the federal prosecutors have is when they get the case and it comes to court, they've usually already worked the case up at the grand jury level. They know the case, inside and out, whereas the state prosecutor usually gets it after the person's arrested. So when the state prosecutor gets the case, usually, a smart defendant would hire their attorney at that point. So we're on the race with them. Whereas when you come into federal court, you need the most experienced federal attorney because the U.S. prosecutor is way ahead. He's had a huge head start. So catching up and getting, up to speed, you got to do that at light speed.
Yeah, an example is in the federal drug area that, was my specialty. We have taken sometimes 4 or 5 years of an investigation with multiple wiretaps, listening to people, gathering evidence, that type of thing, before we decide to bring the charge to the grand jury. So the prosecutor gets to basically formulate the case, plug any holes that they think are in the case before the charges are brought. Where, like Rajan said, in the state system, it's usually just dumped in the prosecutor's lap and then they have to play catch up. Federally, we get to investigate and put our case together before charges are filed.
And do I know? So I'm not even a defendant at that point while the federal government's investigating, I guess. I'm just a suspect or whatever.
Yeah, they call it a subject or a target of the investigation.
Do I know what is going on at that time?
You know you're under investigation quite often.
How do I know? Do they send me a letter, an email, a Snapchat? How do I know?
Sometimes they may send a letter.
Yeah.
They may send a letter saying that you're a target of an investigation, and that's usually when they want you to cooperate. And they'll send a letter to the subject and ask them to come in with an attorney. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes I've had clients, just 6 in the morning. The feds are notorious for busting in the house early in the morning. They get their windows busted open.
Yeah, I see.
they get their house just raided on, and people are calling me frantic. And then the defendant is in court, usually for their first appearance, hours later. So it is so important, if you're ever a suspect in a federal case, you ever get that letter, do not ignore it. Do not ignore it.
Yeah.
Get on the phone, call us, because we handle all federal cases across the state.
Yeah, I mean, especially federal law. Like they're saying, if you are being investigated by any of the federal authorities, they are getting a head start on you, a head start on your attorney. If you get that letter, you just are asked any questions about anything, you've got to call the Joshi Law Firm and do it right now, please. It's 321-282-1055. Now, gentlemen, might be a tough question. I don't know. Is it better as a defendant to be charged in state or federal court?
State court.
Okay.
In the process, in federal court, the agents are usually a lot more organized. The prosecutors are a lot more experienced. Whereas in state court, a lot of times when you're starting out, you're just starting out with a guy out of law school. Yeah. Not with the U.S. Attorney's Office. In addition, then the discovery process, what you're entitled to as the defense attorney, is open season in state court. I can take depositions in state court and really build my case up. In federal court, you can't take depositions. In federal court, you may not even find out who the witnesses are until the day of trial.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, and technically under the law, you don't even have to get a witness statement against you until after they've testified on direct examination. Now, That's generally not enforced because it would cause a lot of delays during the trial. But usually right before trial, you'll know what people are saying about you. And you don't, like Rajan said, you can't do depositions, you can't conduct discovery. You get what the government turns over to you.
What's a deposition again?
A deposition is, before the trial, you get to question the witnesses. You get to sit there and examine them. And this is usually where I destroy the case. You know, I sit there and I question them, and if they said A to the police and they say B in the deposition, whatever they're going to say at trial, I'm going to have an inconsistent statement. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that statement and make them sound as if, you know, they're lying. And it's an awesome weapon. If a lot of defense attorneys don't utilize it, I use that, you know, as my spear and use it to defend my clients in felony cases. Whereas in federal court, we got to take what the government gives us. You know, we don't get to question the witnesses under oath.
Doesn't seem fair to me, but I don't know. There must be a reason for it. Now, Rick, let me back to you. There's no advantage for you. I'm not trying to say that, but you essentially ran that office from the federal government perspective. Now you are defending federal defendants against that. You know the janitors in that building. How does that help you now advocate for your defendant clients in federal court?
Well, you know, since I was a federal prosecutor, specifically in Orlando for a long time, you get to know the judges and all the court personnel. So you have a reputation with them. You're a known quantity going in. The judge is going to know that if I file a motion, there's merit to it, that I believe it's well-founded in the law. I'm not going to be filing frivolous motions. So it doesn't give you a special advantage, knowing the judges and knowing the people, but what it does, it gives you an opportunity to present your argument and have them listen because they know you and they know that you're not going to bring something frivolous.
Rick goes into federal court with a cloak of credibility, you know, and it's not only in Orlando, it's across the state. Right. You know, when I get on the phone and I call a U.S. assistant U.S. attorney to talk about a case, I mentioned my co-counsel.
You know my best buddy Rick, don't
yes,
you?
Yeah. Yes, and then Rick and I will file that notice of appearance, and it catches people's attention. Sure. You know, right there, they know of Rick Jancha. He ran the office. He's been doing this. You know, he's practiced here. He's practiced in Illinois. He's a Notre Dame graduate.
All over
so don't hold that against him. But you know, he's got that reputation, and that's what you need. Because in federal court, you can't take and I mean no disrespect to, you know, other defense attorneys, but you can't take a defense attorney who just practices state court and expect them to go into federal court and do an adequate job in representing you. It will be an absolute ambush if you go into federal court without an experienced attorney. And, you know, there's no one more experienced than, you know, 4.5 decades right
One of the advantages of being experienced is when you talk to a prosecutor in a case or the case agents, they know instantly whether or not you know what you're talking about.
Of course.
You don't ask stupid questions. You know, you don't make crazy motions. They know that when you go in, you're going to fight the case for your client, and you're going to do it in the best possible way possible. And having been a former federal prosecutor, I know where some of the weaknesses lie and where some of the things that I can gather ground on, what motions I can make to gather evidence. And the
procedural rules are so different in state court and federal court. You know, in federal court, it's very formal. It's, you know, it's almost like you're going in there and you're going into a museum, and you've got to conduct yourself a certain way with a certain decorum that is required in federal court that isn't necessarily always seen in state court, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's very, very strict in federal court. Like state court, you may have 50 cases all set at once. Federal court, one case at a time.
Yeah, if you have a federal issue, it's got to be a federal attorney, in my opinion. It doesn't have to be, but you really need someone who knows federal law, especially when you're getting charged with a crime. They're about to take your liberty away. Miss a deadline in federal court, see what happens, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, he can be held in contempt of court, or
unbelievable.
they'll issue a show cause order on you.
Rick, what a pleasure to meet you, buddy. Rajan, as always, he's good. We got to get him back. So I feel like we just scratched the surface. I have so many more questions to ask.
You let me know, and he'll be here.
And congrats on 7 years. Proud of you, buddy.
Thank you.
And if you're charged with any crime, whether it's state or federal, you need to call someone now. Even when they're just calling you saying, oh, maybe you're a witness here. you need to get a lawyer. You need to get a lawyer at the beginning of the investigation. You will be forever grateful for that. 321-282-1055. When we return, it's local politic election season. Brittany Walker is running for Seminole County Commissioner. Let's see what does that job entail. When do you need to know your commissioner? When don't you need to know it? We'll talk about that and more. Quick break. It's Behind the Law. Does student loan debt have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At attorneys Jazlyn Clark & Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your monthly payments. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Makaila and I are here at Pontoon Landing Resort and Marina, the best kept secret in all of Central Florida. Would you not agree?
Oh, it is.
Chris is here, the general manager. This is Old Florida here. This is a secret. This place is beautiful. Great rooms, great suites. If you want to spend the weekend, spend a week here. But also a lot of great things to do here during the week, Chris. What all do you offer?
So we have river tours. We have pontoon boat rentals, brand new pontoons. We have, you stay in the
Beautiful
rooms.
place. What about the river tour? I mean, we have manatees literally right outside the boat here. You do river tours, right?
Yeah, we do 2 of those, 10 and 1.
Yeah.
Wednesday through Sunday. And it's a tour all the way around Pontoon Island, go by Blue Springs.
This is Old Florida at its finest. Door to door for me, from my house, 45 minutes. I think downtown Orlando, an hour.
Yes.
Yet you feel like you're in a totally different world. How do you describe this setting?
A place like no other. This is so unique, and there's not very many places like this anymore.
You've totally upgraded the rooms and suites. They're beautiful, stunning, in fact, very comfortable. How do you describe the rooms and suites here?
They've gotten a lot of love in the last year, and it's wonderful. And we're continuing to make that investment in Pontoon to continue to keep it as a place like no other.
And you can rent this boat here. The boats are brand new, but think about the rooms and suites too. They're all so unique. This is not a cookie cutter type place to stay.
No, it was designed as a fish camp, and it, all the rooms are very unique. So it's not like a big hotel where you have a bunch of these cookie cutter rooms. Yeah, they're all unique.
The Dockside Deli is awesome. We're building a tiki bar. We have beer. This place is unbelievable. I'm so impressed with what you have done. Chris, congratulations on what you guys are doing here and continue to do. And I've got to tell you, if you have not been out to this area, you're making a mistake. Pontoon Landing Resort and Marina, 45 minutes from my house, not more than an hour from yours. Come out and check it out. Welcome back to the show. Have you ever thought about running for office? Well, someone here is doing that just now. Brittany Walker, running for County Commissioner, Seminole County. Brittany, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I don't think people understand what kind of time commitment, how much energy goes into running for office.
Yes, especially when you get in a little bit late in the game. I kind of sat it out for a little while and jumped right in, but we have an awesome team. It's going really well.
What happened? What came over you? I'm going to do this.
Well, the past couple of years, I really started paying attention to local government. A lot of people really focus on federal and state issues, but the last couple of years showed us just how much power the local government has over your quality of life. And so that's what made me get involved.
Plenty to see in Seminole County over the last few years, I guess, huh? It's been quite an interesting ride. What do the county commissioners actually do? Is this just you don't have to do anything, or is there some real power there?
Well, it depends who you ask, because it just depends which leader you ask. But county commissioners are responsible for land development, the budget, taxes, quality of life. They're supposed to support school system. They're supposed to support really the cities and help stimulate job growth and things like that. So.
Have you ever forayed into politics, or is this the first time?
Well, this is my first time running for office. Okay. The past 2 years, I was on a conservative talk radio show and was really involved with the school board issues and county commission issues, really on the activist side, and just kind of activating the local community to get involved and really push for change, especially during the pandemic. Is
this going to be a primary race, the one you're in, or will it be a general?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So it's a primary race on August 23rd, and I will be challenging a one-term incumbent, Jazlyn Bauer.
Okay, got it. But if you win that, you're pretty much a shoo-in. No Democrat's going to run, right?
Well, actually, we did have a Democrat opponent jump in the last day of filing. Katrina Shadix, this is her third run for county commission.
Oh, okay. So is the tougher race, you think, the primary for you, or could both of them be difficult?
The primary is going to be the difficult one because I'm going against an incumbent. It's always a challenge when you're going against an incumbent. And it's also someone who has a lot of money and name recognition. So that's the challenge, but I do think that we can pull this off.
Campaigns, please.
What does an incumbent mean? It's like a really fancy word for probably something simple.
It's very simple, yeah. It's just someone that's currently elected to office.
Got it.
So yeah, it's always tough to knock off the person that's already there, you know, but sometimes you'll have someone who's upset people and it can be a little bit easier, but generally speaking, taking out an incumbent's a little bit difficult.
Yes.
And so what do you think? It takes money, obviously, to run a campaign, a lot of time, a lot of energy. How have you adjusted to being able to go out and ask for the support of people when it comes to money?
Well, that was something I had to get used to because in the business that I'm in, my day job, I help people make money. So to be on the opposite end and be asking for money, it's been different. But when people believe in your platform and they trust you and they know that you're someone that will represent the community in a fair and honest capacity, they're much more on board to support you financially and even as a volunteer.
What is that platform?
Well, my platform is we need to change a lot of things in Seminole County, starting with our ethics. On the county level right now, we're one of the only counties that does not require lobbyist registration. And we just need to bring transparency and accountability back to our local office. I know a lot of the citizens feel like their voices are unheard. And that's really why I'm stepping up to run for office, because I believe we need someone that's going to actually get the community engaged and listen to what they want and, do development projects and handle issues that they care about. Right now, I feel like we have a self-serving local government, and I'm stepping in to change that. You would probably agree that now in Seminole County, we have some pretty darn good constitutional officers. I think we do. We have a good group. How do you think we're doing on the county commission side? I think we have a couple of good ones up there. I think right now we need some mature leadership up there. Right now we have a situation where it's a 3 versus 2, and I would step in to be an independent leader, an independent voice that is going to really make decisions based on what the community wants and not so much what the politicians want. And I only said that because Grant Malloy, I'm waiting on my passport to be delivered, so anything you can do to push that along, that would be fantastic. I just wanted to drop his name, just like I did at the passport agency the other day. So I said, I know Grant well. Yeah, right. Trying to speed it up a little bit. So we're getting close here, a couple months away. What can people do to help? How can we follow your campaign? How can we get involved? Well, we definitely need boots on the ground always. We are door knocking 3 to 5 days a week. We're doing the hobnobs. So you can visit my website, www.walker4seminole.com, or you can go to facebook.com/walker4seminole. We are always accepting contributions. You can find the donate link on the website. And, if you're not financially able to make a contribution, but you are able to contribute time, we definitely would love to have you on the team. Where were you sitting the moment you said, okay, fine, I'm going to do this? Well, I said, okay, fine, I'm going to do this about 10 times. Okay. And then I really it really took a lot of prayer, a lot of, talking with my family to make sure that this was the right decision for us. Running for office, it's not only is it a time commitment, but you're really putting your family out there into the public, and you're opening yourself up for attacks, and you really have to make sure that, that's something that you want to do and that you're doing it for the right purpose. And so I would say the day I decided was about a month before the deadline. Good job. Keep up the good work. Keep up the hard work. I know it's tough out there, especially this time of year. It's hot. Yes, it's very hot. Brittany Walker for County Commissioner in Seminole County. Quick break. When we return, what did we learn? Here with Rajan Joshi. He is the founder of the Joshi Law Firm, our go-to for all things criminal defense, the place that literally we refer our criminal cases to. What I love about your firm is there is no case too small, but more importantly, maybe no case too large for you.
Yeah, thank you, first off, for having us. Yeah, our firm is equipped to hire any type of criminal defense case, whether it's federal, state, murder, racketeering, a DUI, or simple petty theft, we have the infrastructure and the manpower to handle it.
Free consults, which is always a great thing if someone's charged with a crime, but also maybe you should call before you are even charged. If the cops are calling you, should you talk?
Absolutely not speak to the police officers. The most important thing is if you're suspecting the crime, is call an attorney. A lot of times we can quash it and avoid people from going through the hardship of an arrest and criminal charges.
Keep up the great work.
Thank
if you are charged with a crime or the police are calling you, do yourself a favor, call the Joshi Law Firm today. One of the most important decisions you're ever going to make. Having debt can leave you feeling helpless. I'm attorney Jazlyn Clark. Filing for bankruptcy may give you the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life. And now it's time for What Did We Learn? I learned a lot today, Makaila. What about you?
I mean, you can start. What did you learn?
Oh, you want me to start?
Yeah, go for it.
So
Why not?
I clearly figured out it is better to be charged with a crime in state court, not federal court. Seems like federal court and the federal authorities have way more resources than they do in the state court. And almost like, I think they didn't want to say it, but almost like if you're charged with a crime in federal court, you're going to jail or you're going to be convicted. You?
I learned that the drawings are not fan art. I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought it was literally like people were, I don't know, drawing that.
No, it's just whenever you see drawings of defendants, it's because they're in federal court and cameras literally are not allowed in the courtroom. If you ever see a trial going on where there are cameras there, you see what's happening, such as Johnny Depp. I know you were into that one. That
so
means
into it.
That means it's state court. So I think that's certainly what I learned. But you can't indict a ham sandwich. I learned that as well.
I still don't know what indict means. I didn't get to ask.
Indict means you charge, basically. But they call it indictment in federal court because you have to go to the grand jury first, and once the grand jury returns an indictment, that's why it's called that. Also, it's not easy to run for office, even if it's a local office. It takes a lot of work, sweat, tears. I learned a lot today.
Yeah, me too.
Do you feel smarter?
Always.
I certainly do as well. You look smarter. I look dumber, but that's pretty normal. Excellent job as always. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Most importantly, thank you for joining us here every weekend for Behind the Law. We'll see you again next weekend. Happy holidays. It's been a really weird time for landlords over the last couple of years. Tenants have been a little bit angry. I think if you're a landlord, you need a property manager. The best one I know is Greg Mann. He happens to be here with me today. Greg, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
So let's say I'm a landlord and I'm trying to make the decision. Do I want to handle this myself or hire someone like you who is a property manager who does it all? What goes into that decision? Why hire a property manager?
Well, it's quite simple. It's one of your biggest assets. And let me ask you a question. If you want heart surgery, do you employ a brain surgeon?
Yeah, no.
So employ a property manager. It's very difficult. It's complicated. It can be complex. You can be sued. You can leave yourself wide open for many, many things. We know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
What do you do for me as my property manager?
Well, I'll make sure your property's rented, maintained, kept clean, and re-rented, and make sure you get your money.
And then monthly, some things can come up. Maybe something goes wrong. You're right here to solve all those problems between you and the tenant, or between you and anything that happens.
Yeah, we're the cushion. So, problem at the house, tenant calls us, they don't call you. You're on vacation enjoying yourself, we fix whatever problem it is.
How do your relationships with your vendors work, and how does that help me as my property manager?
We have every vendor is licensed and insured. Every vendor has a 30-day pay cycle, so I don't need money up front from you. And they work very, very closely with us. We've used them for years.
Yeah. If you are a landlord, you have rental properties, do yourself a favor. Call Greg Mann right now. Do not do this on your own. Having debt can leave you feeling helpless. I'm attorney Jazlyn Clark. Filing for bankruptcy may give you the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.